So today in our lecture we will talk about just two things, not more than that. So the contents is really small so that we can do more discussion than just watching the things. So first is the matrix calculus, only tiny part of matrix calculus, not all matrix calculus, only a tiny part which we required for linear regression, or even in the later on for neural network or those kind of architecture. So just a tiny part of the matrix calculus, and then we'll jump to the Newton's method. So one learning method we have seen, that is gradient descent, right? Today we will see another learning method, that is Newton's method, and then we will compare which one is better and in which time we can use gradient descent, and in which situation we can use Newton's method. So we'll see both the things. Before jumping into that, if you have any doubt on previous lectures that you feel like need to be a quick revision, then we can go through it. Anything? What do you feel? Any particular place where you stuck, you are so go out of your head?
So soft maths.
Soft maths. Okay. So let me take additional slide here to add soft maths. Softmax concept, as we know, like if you have multiple classes, like if you have more than few classes. So for example, here we have C1 class 1, C2 class 2, C3 class 3, and C4 class 4. Now if you look into the binary classification, at that, in the binary classification we have only two class, C1 and C2. So this C1 C2 we easily represent with 0 and 1, right? So in order to solve this problem, what we have done, we used a function that is sigmoid, right? And the sigmoid was, if you remember, the sigmoid was look like this, right? So you can say this is your 1, this is 0. Here you have Z, and here you have ZZ, and the ZZ equal to, if you look into the function, it was 1 upon 1 plus e to the power minus Z, right? So when you plot this particular function, you will get this, and it will cross this 0 line at 0.5. So if you have two classes, then sigmoid function works very well. How it works very well? You can put this as a threshold, and whatever is more than that, you can simply say it is representing 1. Whatever is less than that, so you can say more or include 0.5. Whatever is less than that, it is 0. So sigmoid function is very good for binary classification. But in case of multi-class classification, like this situation, we cannot use sigmoid. So in that case, we required a different function, and which is known as softmax. So what exactly happening? So you can say when sigmoid is working, so here let me draw the diagram. So here you put data. Data means you are talking about your x, right? Then in that data you will do, you have w vector, you will do w transpose x, and in order to make it binary classifier, you have added sigmoid function here, right? And from here you will get your output. So you can say, let me say y cap, which is your predicted output. So if you combine this all together, then this will become your hypothesis h of w x. where x is the input, and once you combine them together it will become your hypothesis. So if you rewrite it in one single function, h of wx equal to 1 upon 1 plus e to the power minus w transpose x, right? So this will become hypothesis. But in the once you have multi-class classification, what modification you required? So you require w transpose x, that will remain same. Now here, as we have multi-class classification, you need a difference function to deal with, and here we are saying we will add softmax, right? So that you will get a y cap as a output, and this entire thing will become your h of wx, right? And here you have data. Getting? So now you can now one question came in our mind, how exactly this softmax is working so that it can deal this multi-class classification. So if you look into output in this point, what output you will get? You will get some numbers. So let me say the w transpose x, what you got some numbers here, right? You will get, for example, you will get 10, 8, 3, minus 1, something like that, right? Because this is ultimately, this is just a matrix multiplication where w and x is there, so it means this will be your real number, right? This particular value will be real number. But what we want, we have to compare at the end what class we have. You can say the y we have, it is 0, 1, 0, 0, something like that. So if you compare directly this w transpose x with y, you will not come up with a good result, right? So what we need to do, we have to convert this value into the probability. So if you ensure like these all values is always positive, then what you can do, you can simply take one value and divide it by sum of all, then second value divided by sum of all, then third value divided by sum of all, then you will get probability distribution easily. But here we are not sure that it will be always positive value, so it can be negative value. So the very first thing what we have done, we convert these positive, negative, all values into the positive value. So what we have done for that, we just simply take e to the powers those values. So you can say e to the power 8, e to the power 3, e to the power minus 1. And you already know when you convert into the e to the powers, it will come with some all positive value. Now once you got all positive value, what you will do, you will simply you just divide each value with sum of all. So then it will become divide by, so let me write sum here equal to e to the power 10 plus e to the power 8 plus e to the power 3 plus e to the power minus 1. So you will get one sum, and here what you will do, divide by sum, e to the power 8 divide by sum, e to the power 3 divide by sum, and e to the power minus 1 divide by sum. Now once you get this value, this one, this will be your probability distribution. Now once you say, so let me I don't know, like this is the 100% correct values, so it will be something like here you will get 0. You can say 0.7 something, then 0. You can say 4, then oh sorry, it 4 cannot be possible, 0.2, then here can be 0.07, here will be 0.03. So once you sum all of them, you will get a probability value. Now one beautiful thing come here, only one single value will be more than or equal to 0.5, right? So that will become your class. So then you will compare this with this your original, so this will become your y hat, and now you will compare with the y with the help of log loss, and based on that you will compute the loss. So here we'll get this entire thing as a h of wx. Is it clear now, softmax, what exactly going on in the softmax?
So last वाला part जो आपने बताया, only one value will be more than 0.5 and फिर log law वाला part.
Okay, because what exactly going here, if you convert into the probability distribution, we already know sum of all probability should be equal to 1. Is it correct or not?
Yes, sir.
Right. So in that case, if 1 will become more than 0.5, a particular probability value is more than 0.5, or you can say equal to 0.5, then definitely other values will not be greater than 0.5, or it is possible.
So is it necessary for one value to be more than 0.5?
It is possible, like suppose you have a situation, your logits are coming like 10, 10, then 8, then 3. For example, these logits are coming, then definitely it will not be more than 0.5, because these two values are same. Then here we have these two values, so definitely if you convert into the formulation, it will not be more than 0.5, but that will happen only in the initial stage. But once you process the training part, automatically at the end it will force only one value will be more than 0.5, and then that 0.5 become your threshold.
Okay.
It is very much possible, like initial stage, if suppose all values are coming 10, 10, 10, 10, so then definitely the probability value will be 0.2, 0.25, 0.25, 0.25 and 0.25, right? Now what will happen, it will compare with this 0, 1, 0, 0. For example, this is your original y, this is your become y cap, this will be original y. So then automatically it will force this value, like the weight will be modified accordingly, so that this value will become higher. So once your weight will be modified accordingly, then after the training, definitely once you will come to the logits parts, like here, then it will try to incorporate like only one value will be more than 0.5, and that will become your one value. Remaining all will become zero value. Getting?
Yes, sir.
Great. Any doubt?
So,
Yeah.
So is there any specific reason to take e raised power 10 and e raised power 8 in order to make values positive?
Yes, because that is the, like if you want probability distribution, you cannot make it with positive negative both. For example, let me clear out some space so that clear out this part. So for example, you have values. So let's say we have logits. So these are known as logits. For example, we have value 10, 8, minus 10, minus 8. Now, if you will not make them positive and directly you will try to convert into the probability distribution, then what you will do, you will sum all of them and then you will say 10 divided by 0. It will throw error. Right?
No, sir, my question is, we can also take like 2 raised to the power 10, 10 and 2 raised power 8. Why did we select E?
Okay, you are saying why we selected E. It is like means I have to check out like why they have selected only E in that place, but that will force you to convert this particular number into the positive number, and that's the only reason to convert into the positive reason. So I have to check it out. Like I will come back to you. Why only E? Why not other values?
Okay, sir.
Sure, sure.
तो एक और कंफ्यूजन था, सिंस दिस इज मल्टी क्लास क्लासिफिकेशन, तो हमारे पास 4 क्लासेस C1 C2 C3 C4, पर जो y की वैल्यू है उसमें सिर्फ 0 और 1 की वैल्यूज क्यों है?
Because it will say we have, so you can say if you look into the one hot vector, right? So ultimately class is nothing, it's a category. So like you have a category of cat, you have a category of dog, you have a category of like some other animal, you can say x and x1 and x2, right? So now if you look into this category, it will become, so when you talk about cat, it is 1 0 0 0. When you talk about dog, it will become 0 1 0 0. When you talk about this x1 category, it will become 0 0 1 0. And when you talk about this, it will become 0 0 1. So in that way you can represent the correct output.
तो जो y आपने लिखा है वो सिर्फ एक ही क्लास है?
Y means
y,
no, it include all the classes. So it is related to all the classes. We can say, as I told you, it's a assumption like at a time only one class will be there. This is the assumption. We are not saying at a time multiple class can be there. No, only one class will be there.
all right.
Right.
Sir, what is the loss function here?
Loss function will be the logarithmic loss. So we have seen in the last lecture the log loss. So may I write it somewhere?
Like sir, softmax का हमने लिखा था क्या?
No. Soft loss, there is no difference. Like loss will be same as the classification loss, because ultimately you are solving a classification problem. So loss function will be the same. If you remember, it was summation of I equal to 0 to m yi log of hwxi plus 1 minus yi log of 1 minus hwxi. So loss function
सेम
will be
केस
same.
हुआ, क्योंकि वहाँ पर तो मतलब हमने दो ही कंडीशन ली थी, लाइक फॉर प्रोबेबिलिटी y इक्वल टू 1 एंड y इक्वल टू 0.
यहाँ पे भी तो हमारे पास दो ही कंडीशन है, आउटपुट में या फिर प्रोबेबिलिटी 0 है या 1 है, तीसरी कोई वैल्यू नहीं आएगी. Getting or not?
Yes sir.
Okay, so let's move forward. We want to talk about matrix calculus, right? So here the very first thing we want to discuss, that is Jacobian matrix. So I think you have remembered Jacobian matrix. So just the name, and another term we will try to discuss, the Hessian matrix. So you can say the Jacobian is first order partial derivative with respect to something. You can say with respect to, let's say in our case it's with respect to w, right? Or you can say wj. So here it will not be wj, it will be complete w. So you can say it's a del upon del w. So I will explain in a minute. When you look into the Hessian matrix, it's a second order derivative. So you can say del 2 upon del of 2w. Sometimes it is represented as del, right? You can represent double derivative here, right? So that is the Hessian matrix and the Jacobian matrix. Now let's see how exactly we will try to solve these matrices. So let me take a very simple example. Suppose you have a function s, right? And this function is like let me say it's okay, let me clear this out. First of all, let me write the function. Suppose instead of s, let me say y, it's a 3 of x1 plus 4 of x2. That is our function, right? Now what we want to create a Jacobian matrix for y, right? Then what will happen? It will be y, so partial derivative of y with respect to x1 and partial derivative of y with respect to x2, right? That will become the Jacobian of y. Getting everyone? Any doubt on this? Simple. If you have one function, you can say y equal to 3x1 plus 4x2 simply, and you want to compute the Jacobian for y, then it will become partial derivative of y with respect to x1, partial derivative of y with respect to x2. From where this x1, x2 is coming? These two terms, right? Now, suppose someone say y is function of x1, x2, x3, and they are saying the function is 3x1 plus 4x2. It doesn't have third x3. Still, when you compute Jacobian of y, then it will become, so it depends upon this, what we are saying, this is function of what. So then it will become y Jacobian of x1 comma different partial derivative with respect to x1, partial derivative with respect to x2, and partial derivative with respect to x3, and definitely this term will become 0 because you do not have anything, right? So this term will automatically become 0. So now if you look into here, what will be this term? If you compute partial derivative with respect to x1, so it will be 3, and partial derivative of this with respect to x2, it will be 4, and partial derivative of with respect to x3, because x3 is not there, so it will become 0. In this case, suppose we are saying only with respect to, so here we are saying y is with respect to x1 and x2, then it will become 3 and 4. This is your Jacobian matrix, simple Jacobian matrix. Getting everyone? Any doubt on this? Guys, any doubt?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, great. Now let me introduce one level complexity here. So this is like a 0 level complexity. Let me say we have a function, you can say a particular function. No. So so we say like we have a function f of, and let me say, instead of say one function, let me say we have two functions. So erase it and it will be more clear. Suppose we say we have a function u, and this is function of x1 and x2. We have a v function which is also function of x1 and x2. We have two different functions which is function of x1 and x2. Now if you want Jacobian, or you can say Jacobian of u comma v both together, right? Then what will happen? It will become partial derivative of u with respect to partial x1 and partial derivative of v with respect to x1, partial derivative of u with respect to x2, and partial derivative of v with respect to x2, right? This will become Jacobian. Is any doubt on this? You have two functions u and v, and we want to Jacobian of these two functions altogether. So then this Jacobian will become, so you can say first row Jacobian of u and second row Jacobian of v. Can we see it simply? We can say that this particular row is saying Jacobian of u and this particular row is saying Jacobian of v. Is it clear? or any doubt on this? Guys,
So what if one function has more arguments than the other?
so that's why if you say, if a function have, for example, it contain x3 as well, right? So then what will happen? The third column will be added del u del x3 as well as del v del x3, and definitely this value, if it doesn't have x3, it will become 0. But this matrix will always go, you have to differentiate with respect to all the parameters here. Getting?
Yes, sir.
Great. Any doubt on this Jacobian matrix? This is like very simple. Instead of saying one by one partial derivative, you just make a matrix form of that. Simple a matrix form of that. That is the Jacobian matrix. Then we have Hessian matrix, right? So in the Hessian matrix, what we are doing, we are simply saying double derivative. So let me represent it. So you can say it simply 2 del of, so you can say if it is a function f, del of, suppose we with respect to w. So this will become double derivative here, right? So now you can say how exactly we can get this double derivative. So let me take the previous function, which is y equal to 3x1 plus 4x2, right? This we have. Now I want to find out the Jacobian of this. So we say, I should not represent with j, otherwise it's a confusion, because we are representing j for the loss function. So let me simply say just derivative of y with respect to derivative of x1 x2 both together. So then it will become Jacobian matrix here, as we have seen, del of y with respect to del of x1 and del of y with respect to del of x2, right? That we already seen. Now I am saying I want to derive this as well with respect to again x1 and x2. I want to derive this part with respect to x1 and x2, where now again we have two functions separate. Getting everyone? Now instead of one function, we have again two functions. So you can say, as we have seen in the previous example, if you have two functions and you want to take a derivation, so then what you will do? You will say del of y with respect to del of x1, that is already there, and with respect to del of x1 back. Then del of y with respect to del of x2, so let me say del of, this is like we are talking about del of x1 del of x2. So now in this part, in this particular part, your function will become del of y with respect to del of x1. This is your function. Getting? So if you take, so this is, let me say this is your function 1, this is your function 2. So let me rewrite it here, and again you want to take Jacobian of these two functions. So then it will become a Hessian matrix. So here let me say del of f1 with respect to del of x2 x1 and del of f1 with respect to del of x2. Here we have del of f2 with respect to del of x2, sorry, f1 with respect to del of x2. Yes, x1 and del of f2 with respect to del of x2. Now this, if you replace this with the original value, what we have, So the original value of f1 is del of y with respect to del of x1. This is f1, and f2 is del of y with respect to del of x2. So if you replace f1 and f2 in this place, what you will get exactly, you will get this term del double derivative of y with respect to, first we have taken x1, then again we have taken x1, then second derivative of y with respect to x1, and second time we take with respect to x2, and here del of y with respect to x2, and then again you taken with respect to x1, and del of y with respect to x2 and with respect to x2 back. So this particular part will become your Hessian matrix. Is it clear now? Or still doubt? Plenty of symbols are coming into the picture. Guys, anyone in the back side?
Fine, sir.
It looks fine. Just go simply. What we have done,
Yes.
we first take the derivative of this and we represent it with the help of f1 and f2, and again we want to take derivative of f1 and f2 with respect to x1 and x2. So like you are doing 2 times Jacobian. So as we have seen here, so let's see, the first one will become u and second one will become v. Same things we have done here. Getting? So then, because the previous f1 function itself is the derivative, so then derivative of derivative will become double derivative, and then that is known as the Hessian matrix. Is it clear or any doubt on this?
नो सर क्लियर.
यूज कहाँ पर होगा?
हाँ, अभी आ रहे हैं कहाँ यूज होगा, इसीलिए बताया, इसीलिए कि कहीं यूज होने वाला है. So now we have a method that is Newton's method, right? So what Newton method is do? So before jumping into the Newton's method, what we want, we simply want to maximize the likelihood. That is our goal in case of classification, or you can say logistic regression. Logistic regression and even linear regression sometimes you can say. So maximize and minimize, you already know, like if you take a minus term over there, then it will become minimization problem. If you take positive as it is, then it will become maximization problem. So in that case, what we say, so what Newton method is saying, we want to maximize our log likelihood. If you remember, that is our goal. So when you say we want to maximize it, right? So in that case, or let's go little bit previous. We have to find out, we have f available with us, some f, any f you can assume here, and what we want, so this is function of w, you can say, we want to find a w such that f of w equal to 0. So once f of w equal to 0, it means you either reach in the minima or you reach into the maxima. So if you are trying to solve this, so f of w 0 here, and if you are trying to solve this, then f of w is 0 here, like your derivative will be 0 here, right? That we want to achieve. So either you are solving maxima problem or minima problem, both the cases, once derivative will become 0, then it's your solution. So here your f of w is nothing, it is a loss function. Is it clear till this moment? This is our objective. Now how exactly Newton method is doing, let me draw a diagram for this. Suppose your loss function is something look like this. this one. Now what we want in the Newton method, first it will take derivative. Suppose you have started from this particular point, so this is your initial W value, you can say W the first W set you have decided, and you got this point. So what you will do, you will take derivative of this and you will draw a line. Once you draw a line, you got a cross point here in the x-axis. So instead of moving like in gradient descent, we are moving slow in this direction. Slowly we are moving in this direction. But in case of Newton's method, where this line will cross, that will become your next W. So now you can say, in order to reach this point, so you can say if it is represented by delta, so then what will happen? W of 1 equal to W of 0 minus delta value, right? So let me draw this as well. And here, this is your, let me say it's a JW value, and this is your W value, and this is your random cost function. So in that case, so here, if you look into this value, this particular, what will be this? This will be your JW, right? This height will be JW. Any doubt on this? Now if you say this particular angle, what will be this angle? If you say this is the derivative and this is your line, so can we say it is the derivative value that is represented by m? So if you say we have a line like this, so then what will be the value of this? This is in your y equal to mx plus c. What will be this? This will be m value, right? Any doubt on this? As it is crossing this here, somewhere here, then this based on that you will find the value. So if you look into this particular, you can say the angle, or you can say slope, the slope value, this slope value will become J dash W0. Can we say slope is this J dash W0? Because ultimately your derivatives is representing the slope. So this will become slope here, right? Any doubt till this part? This is how it is slope. Anyone? Guys, any doubt? This is the slope, or are you agreed with me? This is the slope, or you have something else in your brain? Yes or no? Till this part.
सर एंगल एंड स्लोप का रिलेशन नहीं समझ में आया जो आपने अभी समझाया.
So either you say angle or you say slope, both are the same thing. What about this m?
Slope है sir.
Right? And here also we can say this is the slope.
Yes.
Right? So now we want to find out this delta. As you can see, it is a right angle triangle. So what is this delta value? How you can find out this delta value?
Suppose से
सर JW पता है.
JW हमको पता है, J dash ये एंगल पता है, तो हम ये डेल्टा वैल्यू निकाल सकते हैं.
Yes sir.
So in that
cos
case,
of JW.
cos
Cos of J dash is equals to JW by delta. So इससे निकल जाएगा.
Tan होना चाहिए.
हाँ sorry tan.
So here if we say we have just simple y equal to just say y equal to mx. Let me replace all things here. So here y is your j of w. What is m? It is j dash w0. And what is x here? This is your delta value that we are looking for. Can we say it like this? So in that case, your delta value will become j of w divided by j dash w0. Actually, this is also w0, right? So we have replaced this w1 equal to w0 minus, so replace the delta value j of w0 divided by j dash w0. So now we have to compute this part, and what will happen once you reach in this point, you will again look into the slope and you will draw a line somewhere here in that slope and it will cut here, then you reach in this point with the same way. Then again you will draw a slope here, you will cut this point and you will reach here, right? So maybe something here, again you will cut the point, you will reach here, and with very few iterations you will reach to your center point, very close to the, you can say, the cut point here where the x is 0, and that is the things what we are looking for here. So this is known as the Newton's method. Now instead of going like big derivation, this part I will say just the equation that we have to, like, either you can take derivation or like you can do derivation by your own, but it's a really big derivation. I will not say like you will go for that.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
सर यहाँ पे हम डेल्टा को मिनिमाइज कर रहे हैं. Delta को
Actually
zero
delta help us to give a movement. We are trying to minimize the JW. We are minimizing the JW, or you can say instead of saying
the
minimizing,
slope.
we are trying to find W where JW equal to 0, right? So we want to find W where JW is 0, and it 0 will be when it will cut here, or you can say when the slope the minimum, you want to reduce the loss to 0, right? Or you want to reduce the error to 0. That is our objective.
ठीक है.
Okay, so now the formulation is saying Hessian inverse, and here you have del of WL. This is nothing, this is your simple, your derivatives, vector of derivatives.
ठीक है.
Yeah.
फिर यहाँ tan इनवर्स नहीं लगेगा JW अपॉन J डैश पे.
You are saying like here you required
सर यहाँ
tan
यहाँ
h.
पे नहीं सर, जहाँ आपने डेल की वैल्यू रिप्लेस करी इक्वेशन में, और tan इनवर्स नहीं आएगा साथ में.
Now if you look into this formulation, we do not need it.
So J dash W slope है ना.
It is itself is the slope.
Okay.
तो नहीं होगा.
Okay, if there are confusion, we'll come back to it, right? And now as we explained the Hessian matrix, so this is the Hessian matrix we have. So here you will utilize the Hessian matrix, and this Hessian matrix with respect to JW, and this will be your vector of derivatives. So you can say this is like a kind of your Jacobian matrix. So here they use the Hessian matrix, and here they use the Jacobian matrix to find out the next W value, right? So that is known as the Newton's method. The beauty behind the Newton method, it will reduce the loss in quadratic way, or you can say quadratic convergence. So what exactly quadratic convergence is saying? If you have loss in current iteration 0.01, then so let's say it's in the T1, then in the T2 it will become 0.0001 square, completely square of this, right? Then again in the T3 it will become 0.00000001. So that is the way how Newton's methods are working.
सर,
Yeah.
तो ये लास्ट का जो फॉर्मूला है उसका एलिमेंट्स नहीं समझ में आए. ये H क्या है एंड सिंबल्स नहीं समझ में आए.
H is the Hessian matrix. So H is the Hessian matrix. So you can say it is derivatives, double derivative of JW with respect to W. So you can say 2. And this particular part is your Jacobian matrix. Is it clear now?
And here h to the power -1 in the
Yes.
formula.
So yes, it is a inverse of Jacobian matrix. You have to find the inverse of Jacobian matrix. So once you will do the entire derivation of this part, you will get this formulation. So here you require inverse of Jacobian matrix, and it's a multiply by the inverse of Hessian matrix multiplied by Jacobian matrix, or you can say simple vector of derivatives.
So will the Hessian matrix will always be invertible?
So it is like whenever you because Hessian matrix will be a squared matrix. So the Hessian matrix will be, suppose you have n features, so it will be n plus 1 cross n plus 1. So this happens like it is like not you can say it will be invertible, but the challenge here definitely it will be invertible in almost in all the cases, but the challenge will be when you say you have 100 features or 200 features is still fine. You can, because when you say 100 features means you are talking about 101 cross 101, that is the size of Jacobian matrix, right? If you have say just 100 features, so then this inversion process itself become very complex. So this Newton methods always used whenever you have less number of features. If you have more number of features, then your entire time is just going for computing this inverse of Hessian matrix. So that's why this Newton method used whenever you have a small number of features. And if you say then why we are not using in deep learning or somewhere, if you look into the deep learning, especially we are talking about, we are dealing with the images, and if this image size is 100 cross 100, then you can say in the first layer we have features 100 cross 100 features, because each pixel represented by one feature. Then this Newton methods is like almost fail, or it will take plenty of time to compute this inverse of Hessian matrix. So that's why we are not using Newton's method to dealing with the image processing problems or deep learning problems, because it is computationally expensive, highly expensive. So I think you got something from here, and yes, I know like we need another revision. So in the next week we will again first revise the Newton's method, and then only we will move forward. Okay. So that's it for today, and we'll discuss this again in the next lecture whenever we have. So whatever problem you feel, whatever issues you will feel, we'll discuss in the next lecture.